I can't tell you the number of times that I have been asked over the years, "Oh, what are you into?" Well, I thought I'd show you. You just saw that ass? I could get into that. Welcome back to Rob's Feed today. This is episode number 115, and I'm Rob Schendel. I'm so hot for it that I had to show it to you twice. Why do these things keep happening to me? Last night, I had written, recorded, edited, did all this stuff, another episode in which I was going to address a controversial issue, thanks to Donald Trump. Well, now, thanks to President Obama, that whole episode's pointless. He released his birth certificate today. And my only thoughts, my real thoughts, how fucking ridiculous the whole issue was, and that some people should be ashamed that we had to divert the president's attention to something as insipid as that. Yesterday's episode, I had a copy of the short form birth certificate. Sure looked official to me. Looked like the one I have. That wasn't good enough. So I hope the controversy's over now. Now for some fun news, I guess. The discontinued New York Fire Department beefcake calendar is back in an effort to help ease the cash-strapped fire department by raising some money. The calendar was discontinued in 2008 when it was discovered that one of their cover boys had appeared in an adult film. No longer did they want to be associated with that. Well, money's still tight. They need it. So here's a fundraiser, a beefcake calendar. Who among us doesn't love a fireman? Have you heard what's going on in the Tennessee State Senate? A committee in the Senate has green-lighted a bill that, if passed, would ban elementary and middle school teachers from discussing homosexuality at school. The legislation, dubbed "Don't Say Gay," would mandate that before 9th grade, teachers not provide any instruction or material that discusses sexual orientation other than heterosexuality. That's sponsored by State Senator Stacey Campfield, a Republican from Knoxville.
Now to a controversial education bill that has been approved by a state Senate committee in Tennessee and now heads to the full Senate. The measure here would prohibit teachers from discussing homosexuality in kindergarten through 8th grade classrooms. The measure is nicknamed the Don't Say Gay bill. Joining me now, nationally syndicated radio talk show host Michael Smerconish, who's also an MSNBC contributor. Michael, so one of the questions that probably enters everybody's mind when they first hear about this story is what will happen if a kid comes to a teacher and says he or she is gay?
Well, it would be illegal if the teacher were then to respond and entertain some kind of a conversation. I don't understand this, Richard. I can only assume that it's born of some naivete that says if you say it, then you're going to catch it, as if you could catch the gay or some such thing. And the harm that obviously comes from this is that if you can't give the latitude to a teacher to address this subject in certain circumstances, I think you're destined to perpetuate ignorance on the subject, because those who would have object to this kind of a conversation, they surely aren't teaching inclusion on the home front.
You know what's interesting about this, Mike? We're looking at some of the statistics here. According to UCLA School of Law, in the state of Tennessee, which we're talking about here, there's an estimated, 4,200 of Tennessee's children that are living in households headed by same-sex couples. Yet at the same time, there's a Tennessee law that bans same-sex marriage. So a lot happening on this issue in that state.
Right, and therefore what is the message that is being offered to the students of those being raised in the kind of households that you've described?
Right.
I mean, the message that's going out is that that can't even be uttered. It's like the Voldemort of their educational experience. You know, he who shall not be named in the classroom. It's wrong on a whole variety of fronts.
You know, also, when we talk about this issue, there's gay marriage. It's an issue that is raging across the country. We have to think about that. Battles over gay adoption, that's also part of discussion. What is sort of the national sentiment and where this is going, you think?
Well, what I would hope is that people would recognize that while you don't want a teacher to supplant the role of a parent in trying to teach values and whatever the moral code might be in that household, by the same token, you can't graduate students who are illiterate to some of the social issues that are taking place. I've long believed that in an effort to make sure that we're not pursuing one particular religious stripe or another, we are graduating students who don't know the fundamentals about the differences in religion. There needs to be some modicum of information that's provided so that they're educated on a variety of fronts. That's what I'm trying to say.
A very interesting issue as we watch that happening in Tennessee as well as across the country. Mike, have a very good weekend.
You too, Richard.
All right, thanks.
Obviously, we as the gay community have a lot of work yet ahead of us. Just imagine, though, it's appalling to me that statistics are coming forth every day, how teen suicides are so much greater in the conservative areas. And this is just making Tennessee ripe for that. Just imagine being a young person, say in junior high or middle school, and you're confused about your own orientation, your own sexuality. You're starting to like people of the same sex, and you have a trusted teacher and friend that you'd like to talk to about it, and they can't do anything for you. Not even say the word. And that means that they can't even make the referral to like Dan Savage's It Gets Better project. Not a word. If you, as Time magazine said, if you ignore it, it doesn't exist. Well, wrong, it does exist. And this is just as reprehensible. Now, speaking of the It Gets Better project, I do take a lot of delight in showing you exceptional It Gets Better videos, and I'm going to do it again today. Bear with me. This one's pretty snazzy. This is a real professional one, and it stands to reason it would be. It's created by the people who work for NBC Universal. And they did an excellent job, and such a great job that I have to share it with you. So let's sit back and enjoy this one.
We are the people in front and behind the cameras.
We are writers, adventurers, and historians.
Journalists, spectators, designers, and broadcasters.
I'm very proud of who I am today.
Marketers,
Performers,
producers,
and engineers. We imagine
and we plan. We believe in doing the right thing.
and treating each other in the right way.
I'm gay. I'm an ally.
I'm queer and lesbian.
I'm gay.
And I am an ally.
But before anything else, we are people.
We're all the same, and we're all part of the same family.
And we've been through our struggles.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Some things you just don't forget, but you learn.
And I know it because I went through all of it.
And that's when you start living.
I have been through different arguments,
gay,
fights, suicide, violence.
There's all kinds of challenges.
I am gay.
I was
confronted as lesbian.
In the closet. I thought about killing myself.
This is our story.
I grew up in a very small town in Massachusetts.
In London.
I grew up in San Francisco near the Castro.
Marietta, Georgia, where I grew up, it was tough to be gay and to be out.
I grew up in a Catholic household. I'm Italian, from Philly.
Living in the Bahamas, I lived in a very homophobic society.
I think being really young, people had always teased me for not being masculine enough or not being, you know, what they thought a boy should be.
And I didn't want another thing to make me different because I had so many things that made me different. I just kind of wanted to fit in with the rest of the crowd.
I thought something was terribly wrong with me. I saw that my older brother was having girlfriends.
I felt like I had this secret that I was keeping from everyone.
Pretty much I ended up lying to a lot of people to try to hide who I really was.
And I dated boys and went to prom.
The need to hide who you really are is really tough.
And at times I wanted to give up.
You know, you feel like you have nobody to turn to.
Miles and miles ahead to go.
I was confronted by my grandmother, and it's just a really uncomfortable situation.
The hardest thing I faced was not fitting in the box. They had this idea of who I was, and I didn't fit in that.
And I didn't want to accept from then on my life would be hard. So the easiest way to deal with it was just to deny it.
It was difficult for me because I wasn't sure if they were going to accept me and still love me for me.
I was always worried about what my family thought first.
I went right back into the closet because I was scared.
I went through my entire childhood as an alien in my own family and my own school.
There was many lunch periods in my 8th grade junior high where I spent eating lunch in the bathroom stalls.
I was laughed at, or I was criticized by the way I acted.
It was an awful experience.
I had a lot of bullying, a lot of jeers, a lot of name calling.
I felt lonely, the only gay person in the whole small little country.
At 15, I unsuccessfully attempted suicide. Luckily, my sister found me and she saved my life. My family, they rallied around me, but I couldn't tell them what had brought me to that point. But I saw firsthand the pain in their eyes, and I realized that suicide wasn't the answer.
I, too, struggled with thoughts of suicide.
I remember going through years where all I could think about was, you know, getting back at people by killing myself, and would always fantasize around, would people feel bad if I did that?
If I hadn't been strong enough to go on and get through the pain of coming out and growing up, I wouldn't have found the community of friends. I wouldn't have found California. I wouldn't have found my husband of 16 years.
Waking up every day with the person who is my better half, I would have missed out in having the family that I wanted as a child. I would have missed out on having 3 wonderful children.
I've been with my partner Doug for 7 years now.
I can't imagine a future without him.
I'm in absolute love with my girlfriend, and I love her so much, and my family knows that, and it's the most empowering thing in the world.
Coming out gave me the opportunity to move on with my life and to do what I wanted to do, which was to have a loving relationship, to meet somebody to spend the rest of my life with.
I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
I'm proud of who I am today because I'm myself and nothing else.
And I remember the very first time my mom actually asked me if I was gay.
Apparently she knew I was gay since I was 11 and didn't bother to tell me, so that was quite a surprise. It was her coming out to me more than me coming out to her.
My world changed when, about 15 years ago when I started college. There's a lot of resources available.
I met a beautiful group of people who were so real. They were just themselves. They kind of pushed me to be me.
You make some amazing friends, and you always feel that you are true to yourself.
You should embrace this about yourself.
It would be boring if everyone was the same.
And what makes us different is really what makes us unique.
Take ownership of being who you are. You're not alone.
I am very proud of who I am today.
Had I not come out, I would not have been the Today's Show's domestic diva.
I'm exposed to so many more people who are just like me.
This world is a really big place with people out there who love you, and with people you haven't even met yet who are going to love you just the way you are.
There's always going to be bigotry.
It doesn't matter what these people think. It matters what you think inside of you.
Love comes from within.
you'll find that there's a big community there waiting for you.
You're not going to spend your entire life in your hometown with the same people that have been bullying you in high school.
You will find your place.
To be gay it's a gift. It's not a perfect world yet, but things are changing for the better.
No matter what anyone says, you are a person of worth. Don't change.
Have faith, follow your heart, just don't give up. Because you can't have a rainbow without a little bit of rain, so just hold on.
You know what? It gets better.
It can get better now, and this is how.
Take the pledge and help spread the message of hope.
If you or someone you care about feels alone, in crisis, or displays suicide warning signs, call the 24-hour confidential Trevor Lifeline to speak with a trained volunteer counselor.
Well, I'd like to thank the people of NBC Universal. That really is nice. That was so well done. As well, I'd like to thank MSNBC and the Fire Department of New York for the wonderful videos that they both provided. Thanks again for downloading. Please go into iTunes and rate, comment, as well as subscribe to this podcast. Well, having said that, I guess that's all. At least.